Hello, everyone. Welcome to our September Songwriter stream. As always, you have your three usual hosts, myself, Phil Robinson. We have Jason Vitelli, and down there in the corner, Victor V. Gurbo. This month, we're joined by two special guests, Carl Banks, who's right below me. And over there, kicking off our first song of the night, we have Dan Florio. Take it away, Dan.
All right, thanks for having me, Phil. This is a song of mine. I actually haven't recorded it yet. It's called Willow Weeps. Cold nights have come again. Unhook the line to bring it in before we leave. He's out in the fields again. Give him a shout to bring him in before he sees that the wind chimes are quiet now, and so am I. But the thoughts are loud, and the rail lines are waiting for us. They're waiting for us. With a sigh, we leave these roots behind. The willow weeps and cries as we don't even try to say goodbye. Hard days are here again. It's all the same, but comes to end eventually. Tell them we're on the mend. It costs some time, so time we'll spend, and then we'll see that the wind chimes are quiet now, and so am I. But the thoughts are loud, and the rail lines are waiting for us. They're waiting for us. And with a sigh, we leave these roots behind. The willow weeps and cries as we don't even try to say goodbye. And with a sigh, we all wonder why it hurts so deep inside when we give our best try to say goodbye, to say goodbye, to say goodbye.
Woo.
Beautiful.
All right, thanks for kicking things off for us tonight, Dan. Dan, what was the name of that song?
I'm calling it Willow Weeps as the unofficial title.
Willow
It's
Weeps.
yet to be recorded, so this video is going to be worth thousands of cents one day.
Thousands of fractions of a cent.
Make it an NFT.
Yeah.
But before we move on to Carl Banks, our second guest, I just need to publicly shame Dan, because I've been asking him to appear in one of our shows since 2016. So after 6 years, he has finally been broken down to be in one of our events. So
You withered me down.
took you long enough, Dan.
Yeah.
All right, our second special guest of the evening and the special Sausage Fest edition of the Songwriter stream, we have Carl Banks.
Sausage Fest, not a sausage fest.
This is a song called Chelsea Hotel. They lived in the Chelsea Hotel. The nights were spent howling at the moon. To them life, it was a game. They would play the same for champagne on Sunday afternoon. Passing by the bums out on the Bowery, throwing notes to those down on their luck. They was one gig removed from their own sidewalk room and no champagne on Sunday afternoon. Black ink on paper, red wine and blood, bodies on the floor laying cold. Where to turn to when there's no one to love? It's too much to bear growing old. We're all growing old. Well, folks, don't they come and they go? And we all know hotels ain't forever. And there's tragic ways to die, like there's sweet lullabies. And nobody knows if there's a heaven. Black ink on paper, red wine and blood, bodies on the floor laying cold. Where to turn to when there's no one to love, and it's too much to bear growing old. Man, we're all growing old. I hope we're going old. They lived in the Chelsea Hotel, and their nights were spent howling at the moon. To them life, it was a game that they played just the same for champagne on Sunday afternoon.
Whew.
Thank you.
All right, Carl.
Very nice, Carl. Very nice.
Appreciate it.
Carl, I'm guessing that was an original song, but you didn't actually say if it was or not.
Oh yeah, that's original. I mean, there's a lot of theft going on there too, so but I compiled it together.
Hey, we're all compilers at the end of the day, right?
Right, exactly.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Carl, how did we meet? I met you through Z-Man, who I went
Yeah.
on a brief Midwest tour
That's right.
with, and you happened to
Green
be
Bay?
his... To Green Bay. I met him. He's like, you want to do a bunch of shows in Green Bay? I was like, sure. And then you were his roommate, and we met at his birthday show, and then he went to Nashville, and you're still here in New York, and now we've done a bunch of stuff, or things like this, Porch Stomp. So.
First stop. Yeah.
Oh, that's your Porch Stomp hat.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
That's right.
Symbolic. Actually, it's just my favorite hat now, which is pretty cool.
I love the
Nice.
song repertoire you do there. You did it both years, and it's just
totally.
a really appropriate tune for the place.
Yeah,
Right, exactly.
That's my favorite Carl Banks tune. So for those of you tuning in at home, and our friend, fellow singer-songwriter Shirley just said hi. Hey Shirley.
Oh, yeah. Hey,
Good
Shirley.
to see you. Thanks for tuning in. This is the Songwriter Stream. We do this the third Tuesday of every month. This is put on by Roomful of Sky Music and Music for Multimedia, which is that guy over there, and then Victor V. Gurbo down there. We're going to be streaming tonight from 7 to 9. We're going to take turns, as we've already started, going around the circle, and over the course of the next couple hours, each of us will sing 3 or 4 songs. So I believe my turn is up next, and then speaking of an original song, but having lots of theft going on in it. I'm going to play one of my original songs called Wasteland, which I have not performed in a while. And let me tell you about a couple of the influences that went into this song. There's a period of a number of years I was really obsessed with reading lots of spiritual traditions outside my own. Joseph Campbell being my favorite author. He wrote about following your bliss, doing that which is most deeply meaningful and fulfilling to you. When you follow your bliss, you are not only doing something that satisfies your very being, but you're bringing something into the world that would not have been there any other way but by your efforts. So I had a lot of songs about following your bliss, but I did not have one about what life feels like when you're not on your path. And a couple of readings that resonated with me at the time, I'm going to paraphrase this probably slightly incorrectly, but there's this poem by Rumi, the Sufi poet, which is basically called along the lines of the one thing you must do. And the poem says, if you do the one thing you must do and you don't do anything else, you'll be saved. If you do everything else but not the one thing you're meant to do, you'll be lost. And the other influence that went into this song, which I basically quote verbatim towards the end of the song, is from the apocryphal gospel, the St. Thomas Gospel, which was not deemed fit to be incorporated into the New Testament when they were compiling the New Testament, because it sort of was too mystical rather than institutional. And the St. Thomas Gospel has a verse that basically says, if you take that which is within you and you bring it forth before you, your soul will be saved. But if you take that which is within you and you keep it inside you, your soul will be lost. So similar kind of messaging coming to us from all of these traditions, basically advising us, encouraging us to share what is inside of us through the expression of our very being in this world. So this song is what it feels like when you don't do that. This is called Wasteland.
And one of my favorites of yours, Phil.
Thank you, Jason. I actually just recorded this for my album. I wrote it with my band, the Bliss Jockeys, but I think the definitive version is going to be this solo version.
I think I can agree with that, for sure.
Thank you, Jason. All right, so this is what it feels like when you are not following your bliss. This is Wasteland. When you go into the wasteland for 29 years, you walk the world in silence, you mark your trail with tears. Nothing soothes your sorrow, no one speaks your name, and all of your tomorrows, they all come out the same. You'll die here, you will. Your cool breeze of summer, be still, be still. recognize the wasteland in the lines on your face. Retrace your steps and wonder how you came to this place. The path of least resistance and led you right here to this place of in-between and emptiness and fear. You'll die here, you will. Your cool breeze of summer, be still, be still. And all, it all comes out the same when you give yourself away, away, away. Oh, oh, oh. Something deep inside you that you don't dare name. Something gold and shining that's yours alone to claim. It's hidden deep within you in a perfect state of grace, surrounded by the shadows that you alone can face. If you bring it forth before you, your soul will be saved. Your skies will fill with sunlight, your dry lands will have rain. But if you leave it there within you, in darkness you'll remain. And you and all you work for will go up, go up, go up in flames.
Yeah. Woo.
All right.
All right, so that was my song Wasteland. Look for it on my upcoming debut solo album coming sometime 2023. All right, moving along, I think we turn our attention now over to Jason Vitelli.
All right. So, I didn't have much of a chance of preparing stuff, so this is even going to be a more interesting take, because this is a new tune that I've never played on guitar before. I wrote it on piano, so. And the reason why I'm doing it is because it's about porch stomp. I started writing it when I was on the ferry going to Porch Stomp and, you know, just excited about, you know, being a part of a community and sharing art with each other. Because I always had this idea in my mind, this utopian idea in my mind when I started out doing songwriting, that there would be this great community out there, and there is. It takes a while to find, but when you find those people who are, you know, allies, it makes you stronger. So this one's called Flights of Fancy, and please forgive my mess ups, because there will be one or two, but I'll do the best I can here.
Headed from such perilous news, traffic stumping here has some use. Having been wrapped up, nowhere to unfurl. Now here our words may swirl, gargantuan moments trembling too. Set us under the songs we must do. We cannot fathom the days for us since, but know we can be ourselves in the midst. Secret lines have now come to light, and no manual will exist in this coming flight. But we are taken by that force before our hand, as we strum to feel every string we can. Forlorn, what's brimming with purpose in uniform, across the fields with the brightest of smiles, you find inspiration flashing a fire. Storm-clads gather among our hymns, shimmer and stretch beyond the gale winds. These spins around make us shiver and try to make a tidal wave full of rhyme. Secret lines have now come to light, and no manual exists for us in this coming flight, as we are taken now by our own foes before our hand. We strum to feel every string we can. We leave this island feeling renewed, a sense of calm within the whirlpool. For a moment we take a deep breath, hold ourselves steady until the next step.
Woo!
Thank you. It went better than I thought.
Well, Jason, you said that was your first time performing it on guitar, so does that mean you usually play it on piano?
I usually never played it, ever. I mean, I wrote it on piano, and I had it, you know, over the months when I had time. And then I was like sitting down, and my piano's kind of on the fritz, so I'm like, oh, I don't want to do it on there. And I'm like, all right, let me try on guitar. And I just had to change the key to better fit the guitar strings. And I'm like, okay, I can kind of make it work. So there you have it.
So what did you learn about the song in this first performance of it?
I like the key, actually. It's like a half step difference. It's a nicer key. So I'm going to keep it in that key.
Half step higher?
Half step higher, yeah. So
Yeah, I think you
good
you
range
flip
for
it
your
to
voice.
Yeah, you flip in your falsetto really well.
Oh, thank
Like
you.
that,
I
yeah.
appreciate it. Yeah, I've worked a lot on that. But I feel like the falsetto works really well on that chorus. Like it can be like a little ethereal. The secret lines come to life. Kind of idea that we have all these secret. We have these lines inside of our head, or words and sentences and things, and a song is a great way to kind of produce an image from that can last forever. So, but thank you for indulging me, and
Of course,
great.
thank you.
yeah.
It's amazing what a difference just a half step could make.
Just about to say, it's
In the tone of your voice and the tone of the notes, it's very small, but it could be a completely different world sometimes.
Yeah, you were saying that with Arrival, like you were playing around
Yeah.
with different keys, right? And I really like that song and that vulnerable place that you put it, because it just fits what the song is about. So, what were you going to say, Victor?
I was going to say I was trying to find the right words to say basically that, and then Phil had to go and be articulate about
Oh,
it.
Phil.
You know. But no, it really is astounding how it can make or break how a song sounds, but also how much you like a song that you are playing.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
All right, so Victor, now is your chance to be articulate in the context of the brilliant wordsmith and performance that you are about to dazzle
Oh
us
yes,
with.
no pressure at all. I think tonight I'm going to start with a cover song by Bob Dylan that he defines as the greatest song that he ever wrote that he never finished, which I think is really interesting. Seen the arrow on the doorpost saying this land is condemned all the way to New Orleans, to Jerusalem. I traveled through East Texas, where many martyrs fell. But I can tell you one thing, nobody can sing the blues like Blind Willie McTell. I heard that hoot owl singing as they were taking down the tents. The stars above the barren trees was his only audience. And charcoal gypsy maiden can strut their feathers well. But I can tell you one thing, nobody can sing the blues like Blind Willie McTell. There's a woman by the river, she's with some fine young handsome man. He's dressed up like a squire, bootleg whiskey in his hand. There's a chain gang on the highway, you can hear them rebels yell. Let me tell you one thing, nobody can sing the blues like Blind Willie McTell. Well, God is in his heaven, and we all want what's his. But power and greed and corruptible sin seem to be all that there is. I'm gazing out the window of the St. James Hotel, and I can tell you one thing, nobody can sing the blues like Blind Willie McTell. I can tell you one thing, nobody can sing the blues like Blind Willie McTell. Thank you.
Sorry, my clap came late. I was muted. Very odd that he thought that was unfinished. Feels very finished. To
Well,
me.
did you finish it yourself, Victor?
No.
Was there any
no,
aspect of it that you had to make it feel complete?
No. I mean, I do a version of it that's closer to the way that he did it. Does it live now, or at least did a couple of years ago. He did it at the Grammys, and I got to hear him do it at a couple of places, and I definitely like that kind of jangly feeling to it. That really.
I like what you do at the ending. Was that your idea? Like kind of sliding up to the chord. It sounds nice.
Well, actually, I don't know if he does it like that, but I realized, oh no, I don't know how to end this, so I just kind of played it.
Works really well.
All right, cool. But yeah, I definitely recommend checking out his version of that song. Really top notch.
Did you see Carl M. Banks with his fancy name and got middle initial NV and decided to add V to your name tonight? Because I think that's what must have happened.
Setting a trend. All right.
Well, I got to put a dot after his M to be consistent. There we are.
There we go.
Yeah. You know, there's Carl Banks was a New York football giant great, so he gets all the Google hits, you know? It's the whole reason why I'm not famous. So I was talking to my publicist about it, and they were saying maybe put the M on there to, search engine optimization, But the thing is that I'm my own publicist, and I'm pretty sure that he doesn't have any idea what he's talking about. So I'm going to have to look into that.
Man, you should fire his ass.
I'm trying, but the pay his fee is right.
I was going to say, is he expecting a percentage?
Yeah, all of it, actually. It's pretty ridiculous.
Man.
Highway robbery.
Well, thank you, Victor. So for those of you watching at home, if you're just tuning in, this is the Songwriter stream. This is our monthly third Tuesday of the month stream. Myself and Victor and Jason are here every month, and every month we are joined by two special guests. Tonight is a full-on sausage fest because Jason and Victor and I are three dudes. We usually go out of our way to invite female singer-songwriters, or not necessarily female, but non-male, gender-identifying singer-songwriters to basically to fill out the lineup. But in the case of tonight, we had such talented connections in Carl and Dan that we wanted to feature them and bump them up in the schedule. Nice. So kicking off our second round around the five of us, Dan with his second song of the evening.
Thanks, Phil. This is a song an original. I sat on it for a few years. Finally got around to recording it earlier this year. It is called Dust and Atoms. Still getting a little used to playing it solo, so bear with me.
I'm not here to lose you, and you don't want me gone. But I'm not here to soothe you. There's no right or wrong. Could you really tell your world apart from a dream in someone's head? Or dancing shadows cast upon the wall in a cave you've never left, that you never left. I'm not here to move you, and you can't do much for me. But I'm not here to ruin you, I'd rather leave you be. And could you really dream in someone's head, or dancing shadows cast upon the wall in a cave you've never left, that you never left. You are only a fraction of all of space and time. We share dust and atoms, so I'm yours and you are mine. Yeah, I'm yours and you are mine.
Thank you.
That was great.
All right, Dan.
Yeah, man. Awesome.
Thank you.
Dan, tell us a little bit about yourself before we move on to Carl.
I went to school for acoustic engineering and music. I tried to be a musician, ended up being an acoustic engineer, ended up being an IT guy, and ended up being a web developer. So that's where I am now. And I love doing music on the side. I think that's kind of a good level for me. I've been writing music since, I don't know, coming up to 20 years now. And thank you, Phil, for pushing me to perform it more than I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I
Definitely
remember.
worth it,
I
man.
remember the last time you did one of my events was back in 2017.
I think
We
so.
had a triple bill at
Lovecraft.
Lovecraft.
Yeah.
And then Lovecraft shortly closed down, but my band, the Bliss Jockeys, performed. That was actually the last show we did before we went on hiatus to do solo stuff. And you shared the bill, and you really you blew us away with everything, but particularly nailing all of those high falsetto notes in Take On Me, which is brave for anyone to try, but you were awesome for completely pulling it off.
Oh, man.
And I've been asking you for 6 years to do another event since then, and
Yeah,
here you are.
here I am. Every 6
Now I
years
get
come out of
the
hiding.
context of the Take On Me reference. I like that.
Yep.
The story
Yep.
behind it.
So, all right. Well, it sounds like you've been recording. You have stuff coming out on Spotify soon. All that usual things.
Yeah. So I haven't recorded much for a while because I'm always very ambitious and want to record entire albums. But recently I've been like, you know what? I could just do singles here and there. It's not that big of a deal. So I've got about 3 new songs out this year. It's all on Spotify. Just look my
Nice.
name up. Yeah.
That's the way to do it these
Fantastic.
days too. You know, it's. I mean, everyone always talks about singles but yeah, you get your name out there more. You know, at the end of
Yeah.
the day, when you're putting things out more. So.
I'm in the same boat. I've been working on my album for like 3 years. It's like, I mean, it's almost done, but it takes a long time to do a full set of like
Yeah.
12 songs.
For sure.
All right, Dan. So that's Dan Florio, for those of you tuning in at home, in your living room, bedroom, most likely probably sitting on your toilet, which is where most people consume streaming media.
Don't call them
coming
out.
up next.
Don't call them out.
Coming up next, Carl Banks. Maybe we'll be lucky at some point tonight and Carl will play his song, which is all of our favorites.
Repertoire.
But no, he doesn't have to play it if he doesn't want to, but
The truth is, there's an old show business trick where you want to keep people wanting more, so you'll have to stay tuned to see if I play it. It's funny that you say that about the bathrooms, too, because I play a lot of rock clubs that smell a lot like bathrooms. It's pretty gross. They'd be pretty nasty at times. All right, I'm going to do a song. I didn't write this one. This is a poem that my dad used to read to me when I was a little kid and made it into a song. And then I put it on YouTube one time, and then I was dog walking in Brooklyn, and one of the clients looked up my YouTube and found me singing this, and it turns out she was named after a character in this poem. And then I went out and played shows in Colorado. Her dad puts on house shows out there, and I got a pair of boots, cowboy boots, and a cowboy hat out of it, all from this song. So learn a song, it'll take you around the world. It's called The Raggedy Man. Raggedy Man, he works for Paul. He's the goodest man you ever saw. Comes to our house every day. Waters the horses and he feeds them hay. Opens that barn and we all just laugh as he drives out one of those wobbly cabs. Then if the hired lady says he can, milked a cow for Elizabeth Ann. Ain't he just the coolest old raggedy man? Raggedy, raggedy man. And the raggedy man, he is so good. He'll split the kindling and he'll chop the wood. He tends our garden and he spades it too. He does most things a little boy couldn't do. He clumb clear up on a big old tree. He shook down an apple for me. Another one too for Elizabeth Ann. Another one too for the raggedy man. Ain't he just the coolest old raggedy man? Raggedy, raggedy man. And the raggedy man, he knows most rhymes. He'll tell them to me if I'm good sometimes. He knows about griffins, giants and elves. Squid comes squeezes it swallows themselves. Way down in our pasture lot, showed me a hole that the wences has gotten. They live way down in the earth and can turn into me, or you, or Elizabeth Ann, or Ma, or Pa, or the raggedy man. Raggedy, raggedy man. The raggedy man, one time when he was making a little bow and arrow for me, he said, when you're big like your pa is, are you gonna own a mighty fine store like his? And be a rich merchant, wear nice clothes? What you gonna be, only goodness knows. And then he laughed at Elizabeth Ann, and I said, no, I'm just gonna be a nice old raggedy man. Gonna be a nice old raggedy man. Raggedy, raggedy man.
Woo! Thank you. Very nice.
Great.
Thank you. That song means a lot to me.
Carl.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh,
So Carl, you are a man of many talents. I've seen you play fantastic original songs. I've seen you play a lot of traditional music. I've seen you play very current electronica, techno stuff with all kinds of drum loops and going on. Is there
Yeah.
anything? Do you have like a favorite kind of music you like to work in? Or,
No, all of it. I mean, I have to say that the synths and loops is really fun to play with, and it has made my lead guitar playing get really good, because before I was always just strummer, finger picking and stuff. So I couldn't really do any leads. I would just have the chords moving and stuff. So that's been a great amount of fun over the past few years, getting into the guitar synth. Specifically
That's
for the
great.
nerds out there, the Roland GR55, which turns my other, not this guitar, but my other guitar into a synthesizer. And man,
Oh, wow.
it's like a spaceship. It's amazing.
So it turns it into MIDI notes, right? Is
Basically,
that
yeah,
part of
it's
what it
MIDI.
does?
It's not
Yeah.
true MIDI. It's like a Roland 13-pin. Basically, it's a hexaphonic pickup that each string has its own signal, and you can manipulate each one. It can be an organ. It can sound like a race car or a dog
that's
barking,
amazing.
and delays and all that stuff. Yeah, it's very fun. But it's hard to make it musical a lot of times. You know, you get these delays that are just da-da-da-da-da-da, and trying to get it, bring emotion or feeling in it is, that's the task, that's the goal of being a musician. So that's my favorite thing I'm doing right now. But I mean, the traditional stuff is, my bread and butter. I love that. I love
Hey,
folk
guess
songs.
what? So Ruth Trenery is my mother-in-law, and she loved this
Hi,
song
Ruth.
as a child. Perfect with your voice, guitar, and harmonica.
Oh,
Happy
there we
memories.
go. Look
So
at
you
that.
made her night. Very cool.
Great. Yeah.
Who originally wrote the tune?
Oh, it's just a poem. The original
Uh-huh.
poem was written by Jacob Whitcomb Riley, I think, in 1904, something like around early 20th century.
Okay.
But it was in a book of all these childhood poems, and Alice in Wonderland. We had this book with all these compilation of all this stuff, and that was my favorite. And my dad would play it and sing it, and I adopted it and made it one of my own.
Nice.
Fantastic. I think right as the song was ended, Jason, it sounded like you were going to say something, and I kind of cut you off.
I
Do you
think I
remember?
already said, yeah, I don't entirely remember. I think I probably put it into whatever I said afterwards. So I'm good.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
And then, Carl, did you notice that Barbie Banks, perhaps
I did.
someone you know,
That's my
chimed in
sister.
with some applause emojis?
I saw that. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Clearly, she likes the song too.
Hey, Carl's sister, you have good taste in sibling.
She didn't
All right,
choose it.
so if you've enjoyed the musical stylings of Dan Florio and Carl M. Banks, stick around because we'll have a couple more songs from each of them between now and 9 o'clock. But we're going to move on to my turn now. I'm still Phil Robinson. Earlier tonight, I was playing that song Wasteland, and I would say that's kind of typical of my material. I do all of this dark existential crisis type stuff, and I was hanging out with my girlfriend, and she was basically like, Phil, why don't you ever just sing like a sweet love song or something that people recognize and would like to sing along with? So for a different thing, I was learning my favorite Elvis Presley song. And that gave her the idea. She basically requested me personally to learn this song that I'm about to play next. But we were talking earlier during Jason's turn about the placement of the register a song, how high or low in your voice you sing it. When my girlfriend requested this, she requested not only that I learn this song, but specifically that I sing it in this particular key, which is very low in my voice. My voice is kind of naturally low, and I'm kind of self-conscious about it as a singer because I think the human ear really likes to hear a higher range in the male voice, like the tenor voices. So I'm always trying to place songs way up here and sort of sing at the top part. And I think she was basically wanted me to just sing a song in my very natural low range. So I So this is me singing a song by request in a requested key for my girlfriend, Mialka. All right, let's do it. Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. Shall I stay? Would it be a sin if I can't help falling in love with you? Like a river flows surely to the sea, darling, so it goes. Some things were meant to be. Take my hand, take my whole life too, for I can't help falling in love with you. Like a river flows surely to the sea, darling, so it goes. Some things were meant to be. Take my hand, take my whole life too, for I can't help falling in love with you, for I can't help falling in love with you.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah, Phil. I do like it in that range.
Yeah, you don't think it's too low?
No.
I'm now
no.
only going to accept your songs in that key. So you're going to
Yeah.
have to modify all of them. All of them.
That's sort of where my voice naturally sits, but it's kind of like, to my ear, my voice sounds low and goopy. I like it kind of higher and brighter generally, but
I mean, there is
but
something...
I think also in the course of a set though, it's good to have variety. So, you know, from one song to the next, you sing a low range and then a high range song, and it's less fatiguing for the listening ear. So I think it's good to have a broad range of options in your repertoire.
I've had the same worries about my voice, and I could say as a listener that sounded pretty coherent, clear, and full, so I don't think you should be worried about it sounding like muddy or anything. think it's good.
Oh yeah,
Thank
you
you,
got a
Dan.
very rich. I mean, you do. I've Been Everywhere, Man, the Johnny Cash cover, and
Yeah.
it think about a singer like that, how he exploits his lower range. It can be very grand, and just big sounding. So yeah, it's definitely a lot that you could bring to it, because I don't think it sounds muddy at all. It actually has a high end to it. It just, it's just lower in the fundamental.
Thank you all for the supportive feedback, my wonderful musical colleagues. I
And Ruth
appreciate it.
likes it too.
All right. Well, if I have the Ruth stamp of approval, then I'm satisfied. Hey, Ruth. All right. So, speaking of Ruth, let's move along to Ruth's son-in-law for the next song of the evening.
All right. Well, I was kind of brainstorming what I'd like to do. Let's see how this works out. This is a cover. Face pulled and tense, like he was riding a motorbike in the strongest winds. So I approached with tact, suggest that he should relax, but he's always going much too fast. He said he'll see me on the flip side of this trip he's taking for a while. He's been taken where I don't know. Off he goes with his perfectly unkept clothes. There he goes. He's yet to come back, but I've seen his picture. It doesn't look the same up on the right. We go way back. I wonder about his insides. It's like his thoughts were too big for his size. He's been taken where I don't know. Off he goes with his perfectly unkept clothes. There he goes. But now I rub my eyes, for he has returned. Seems that all my preconceptions should have been burned. For he still laughs, he still smiles. Nothing's changed but the surrounding bullshit that has grown. But now he's home and we're laughing like we've always did. My same old friend. Until 9:45.
I saw the stream creeping. He seemed distracted, and I knew just what was gonna happen next. Before his first step, he was off again.
Woo!
Yeah.
All right, Jason.
Thank you. That's I don't know if any of you know it. It's a Pearl Jam tune from which album? The fourth album, I think. But I always liked it because it's about being alienated from the people that you knew growing up. And I heard years later that he actually wrote it about himself. So that's even more interesting. So
I don't think I've heard you perform that before, Jason.
yeah, it came to my mind. It's one of those tunes where, and I think all of us have the tunes that we learned growing up that we just practice on over and over again. And then I sort of just forgot that I played it, and I'm like, oh, I remember this song. And it's like all those old songs are embedded in you. You don't even have to practice it. So I was like, I'm going to do that one. So, but
It's like riding a bike until you fall off and break your face.
I almost fell off.
Tonight is Jason playing songs he's not sure if he knows them well enough to perform them in the moment he's launching into them on the live stream. But so far you have had 2 awesome successes.
Thank you very
Sometimes
much.
that's where some of the best songs are.
So Jason, well, before we move on to Victor, even though
Oh,
Jason
okay.
is one of our old, boring hosts that we see every month, what do you have going on? Are you putting anything out these days?
Yeah, hold on. Hair's getting too long. Yeah, I'm putting out an instrumental album, and actually asked my friend Victor over here to let me use one of his art pieces for the cover. So he
Sweet.
had listened to some of it, and I'm excited to see what he thinks will work with it. But it's sort of a series of a few albums of instrumental music I've written over the years, since I sort of started in the film music realm before I got into songwriting. So it's been fun to rediscover a lot of that stuff, reorganize it, rearrange it, and write a few things, and get back into that headspace. So hopefully I can get that out by November. I'm hoping, but we'll see.
And this might not be evident from the way you're talking about it, but for those of you at home, I want to say that Jason has the best videos for his instrumental tracks. Like every single song, every time you put out a new video, and you've done many by this point. I don't know if you're compiling them yourself from various stock footage online or what you're doing, but you do exquisite creative visual work, and every video is distinct from the others, and the visuals are so well chosen for the instrumental piece which it accompanies.
Oh, thank you.
So
many thanks.
So I would say if you're watching us on YouTube, look up Jason Vitelli Music, his YouTube channel, and check out some of these awesome instrumental pieces. I'm a
Thanks for
genuine
the
fan.
shout-out.
Like if I didn't know you personally, I would just be following your channel online.
I appreciate that, Phil. Thank you. Yeah.
All right, now we may move on to Victor.
Well, before moving on, it's like how Carl does his electronic music. I like how you could use different parts of your creativity, and it's nice. It kind of fuels the other parts of it, So, anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Very cool. Jason, is my sound better now?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was just not when you were playing. It was fine. It was in between. I heard some static.
All right, cool. Hopefully that doesn't come back, and if it does, yell at me and I'll figure it out. So I started off with one of Dylan's favorite songs of his, and now I'm going to do one of the sillier songs of mine. The assignment I gave myself for this was to take some of the stupidest pickup lines I possibly could and try to shuffle them together into something. So now we have this.
Well, babe, I'm too drunk to get back home, so please don't let me walk alone. I said, babe, I'm too drunk to get back home, so please don't let me walk alone. Well, I couldn't help but notice there you are, sitting in some dingy bar. So solely with you in mind, I crafted up these pickup lines. Like, when you fell from heaven, baby, did it hurt? Did you crash and burn right in the dirt? And if you were tired, I'd say that's right, you've been running through my head all night. Say, do you believe in love at first sight? If I walked by again, do you think you'd might? If my heart's a lock, you'd be a key. And if beauty was time, you'd be eternity. If you were a fire, I'd be a tree, and I'd let you climb all over me. And if you were a bubble, I'd be the bath. I'd let you drain me for a laugh. If you were a river, I'd be a boat. Your smile would keep me afloat. And if you were a canvas, I'd be a brush. I'd live just to make you blush. And if you were a crowd, I'd be the show. And I'd play and play so you wouldn't go. And if being pretty was a crime, then you'd be doing hard times. So dumb. Babe, I'm too drunk to get back home, so please don't let me walk alone. I said, babe, I'm too drunk to get back home, so please don't let me walk alone. Pretty lady, I must confess that the bottle I don't even address. I haven't had a drop to drink. Don't shake your head, you mustn't think that I'm some chump without a clue. It's just I like to look at you. I said a girl like you shouldn't be alone, so please let me walk you home. I said a girl like you shouldn't be alone, so please let me walk you home. I said a girl like you shouldn't be alone, so kindly let me walk you home.
That's great. Really like that, Victor.
Victor, that was truly excellent.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
What-
That's one of my more.
What vintage is that song? Is that brand new?
No, that's been around for a while. Just in the vein of doing songs in different keys, I just kind of arbitrarily dropped it down a bit, so you might not recognize it. But I hope.
Oh, Victor, fix your audio. I'm hearing a little.
Yeah, hold on.
All right.
Better?
All right. Better.
Yes.
Better.
All right. Yeah. Well, at least it wasn't happening while I was playing, right?
Yeah.
All right. It waits for me to stop making noise. Yeah, I hope to bring that to the full band at some point because I think it has some silly potential to it.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we move back to Dan, tell the folks at home about some of your music and what you have coming out.
Yeah, this Saturday from 2 to 4 p.m. I will be playing at an open street event on Montague Street between Clinton and Henry, which should be a real fun time. It'll be a full band show. We'll be playing for 2 hours, so you can watch me slowly melt and fall apart. And at the end of the month on September 30th, I'll be back at City Lore playing a solo set at 9 p.m. Should be a fun time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I really love that venue. Yeah, it's just
a
a
lot of
great
fun,
listening
yeah.
room. Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta take it open soon. It'll be a fun time.
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is Victor V. Gurbo. And now we'll begin our third round around the songwriters. Back to Dan Florio.
All right. Here is a song that sat in Logic Pro for probably almost a year before I finally finished it not too long ago. Released it, I think, last week. Titled, somewhat appropriately, Late Bloomer.
chill down the spine, your knuckles white, the radio silence gave peace of mind. And here you're so far away from where you were, so there's no hiding the pain anymore. Thrown for a loop, you quake in your boots, the butterflies flutter inside of you. And each morning when you wake, they're in your head, repeating all those words you wish you'd said. Now, late bloomer, could you please tell us why it wasn't sooner, and how you managed to fly by the wayside? You misunderstood on tenterhooks, like a deer in headlights with a frozen look. And no one could see the war deep inside, those battles with the tiger in your mind. Now, late bloomer, could you please tell us why it wasn't sooner, and how you managed to fly by the wayside? Now, late bloomer, could you please tell us why it wasn't sooner, and how you managed to fly by the wayside, by the wayside.
Hey Dan, I don't know if anyone has ever made a comparison to Duncan Sheik. A lot of your sound, it gives me that same feeling, the Duncan Sheik feel.
I'll have to check it out.
Check him out. I Am Barely Breathing. Does that one song? I don't know.
Spring
if that's what it's
Awakening.
called. Spring Awakening is he did that musical. He did the was it the follow up? He did
American Psycho.
American Psycho.
Yeah.
We
That
both
didn't-
said it at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know if I've heard him before, but
Yeah, check him out.
sure,
Man.
thanks.
Oh, sorry, Phil. I muted Phil because I heard some typing. So my apologies, Phil. You're back.
Oh, no worries. Before we move on, Dan, answer one question for me. How are you so awesome?
I don't know. I've always been awesome, so I wasn't there for the inception of the awesome. So
Oh.
you'll have to ask
It's a
somebody
good
else.
answer. It's a good answer.
Jason, how is Dan Florio so awesome?
Oh, wow. Now you're directing it toward me. You got to look within yourself to find that answer, I think.
All right.
Yeah, yourself, Phil. You're gonna have to.
I will
yourself to
look
figure it out.
inside myself for the secrets of Dan Florio's awesomeness. All right. Thanks, Dan. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you are a fan of Dan Florio, stick around. We will hear from him one more time before this live stream is through. But for now, we'll move on to Carl M. Banks.
Okay. Oh, yeah, Ruth enjoyed your song as well. Wanted to put that up there.
Oh, thank you,
Carl.
Ruth's killing it.
And she's very into our show. She enjoys it.
All right, so I'll do this one by request. And right before the pandemic, I was touring in the Florida Keys, and I was playing at this little roadside motel. It's a type of place where they pay you for the music, but then they also give you a room for the night. And I got there, and the place was so busy, and the bartender just said, "We're gonna have you play on the back patio because no one's back there." I was like, all right, I'll go play for nobody then. And I go on the back patio and I start playing, and then all these people just kind of hear me and start gathering around. It ended up being like a really fun night. Well, I played repertoire that night. And when I was done with this song, this guy with this huge white beard came up to me. He was moving real slow, and he walked up, and I didn't really know what he was going to say. I thought maybe he was going to be critical or something. And then he just goes, "Son, that's the best song that's ever been written." So buckle up, everybody.
That's awesome.
It's called My Repertoire. I know how to spell this one. Well, my old man, he taught me how to play. He said it takes 20 minutes of practice, but you gotta do it every single day. And if you try to master a craft, you'll never get bored. You gotta run all of the scales. You gotta learn all of the chords. You gotta sing out loud, and most of all, get yourself a great big repertoire. A repertoire. I learned Peter, Paul, and Mary, Beatles songs, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Melanie, Joni, Joan Baez, Cash, Clapton, the Grateful Dead, Jackson, Brown, Van the Man, Bill Withers, and Pearl Jam, Willie Whalen, Jerry, Jeff, and Merle, Doc Watson, and Steve Earle, Django, G. Love, Jim Croce, Arlo, Woody, and Bob Marley, Christopherson, Robert Earl Keen, Bob Dylan, Shel Silverstein, and Jimi Hendrix, A Wind Cries Mary, Johnny B. Good by Chuck Berry. I learned songs galore. Every year I learn dozens more. Trying to make my family proud. Get a laugh, please a crowd. Sing out loud, most of all, demonstrate my repertoire. My repertoire. So I started going out with my guitar most nights. I was singing in the street and signing up at open mic till I had me a paying gig within a couple of years for $30 on a Tuesday night and free domestic beer. My Alvarez and me and a jar full of tips, singing songs that I like, not them top 40 hits. Just sitting on a stool in the corner of a bar, demonstrating my great big repertoire. My repertoire. Blue moon, I saw you standing alone, without a dream in my heart, without a love. Bought the bought bang a dang gang get the bing bong bing bong bing. Blue moon, I saw you standing alone, without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own. So the years went went by, and well, my fingers, they got quick. I bought me a harmonica, I started blowing in it. And then me and my guitar, we started going out on trips in my grandma's old car with all my gear packed in it. I decided might as well grow my beard real long and travel around the world singing other people's songs. And I write a couple too to sing on a Saturday soiree. Demonstrate my expertise in my repertoire. My repertoire. I play Peter, Paul, and Mary, Beatles songs, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Melanie, Joni, Joan, Baez, Cash, Clapton, the Grateful Dead, Jackson, Brown, Van the Man, and at one time a whole bunch of Dave Matthews Band, Willie, Waylon, Jerry, Jeff, and Merle, Doc Watson, and Steve Earle, Django, G-Love, Jim Croce, Arlo, Woody, and Bob Marley, Christofferson, John Prine, Bob Dylan, Shel Silverstein. Songs galore. Every year I learn dozens more. Trying to make my family proud. Get a laugh, please a crowd. Sing out loud, most of all demonstrate my repertoire. My repertoire. Now I live in New York City. I get to sing in clubs. There's gourmet deli groceries where you're bound to fall in love. I'm dying for my dream in a city that don't sleep. I choose a different path, but I'm in the woods too deep. So I keep on singing on until I can no longer. Then I'll pass down my guitar to a young one stronger. I'll say, get a case that's hard, a sturdy guitar pick. And if everyone should doubt you, show 'em your great big repertoire. Show 'em your repertoire. Play some Peter, Paul, and Mary, Beatles songs, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Melanie, Joni, Joan, Baez, Cash, Clapton, and the Grateful Dead, Jackson, Brown, Van the Man, Bill Withers, and Pearl Jam, Willie, Waylon, Jerry, Jeff, and Merle, Doc Watson, and Steve Earle, Django, G-Love, Jim Croce, Arlo, Woody, and Bob Marley, Christofferson, Robert Earl Keen, Bob Dylan, Shel Silverstein. Songs galore. Every year learn dozens more. Trying to make my family proud. Get loud, please a crowd. Sing out loud, most of all demonstrate my repertoire. This song is called My Repertoire. Technically the whole set is my repertoire. Don't know how to spell repertoire.
Woo!
Thank you.
So good.
That's great.
You know, Carl, what's interesting, just being a part of different scenes, is that every scene has a repertoire. Like the jazz scene, they expect you, if you go to a jam, to know 200 songs. And if they call out a song, you know how to play the head, and you know the chord structures. Yeah, you know, and then the classical people have their repertoire. It's like every musician has to like kind of, show what they're about,
Right.
That way.
Different settings definitely call for different things too, which is always something you got to work on.
Oh yeah.
Carl, that is such a fantastic song. It is simultaneously a great example of my three favorite different genres of song all at once. The fanciful yet literally true autobiographical song.
Uh-huh.
The song that is a list of things coming at you in quick succession. And then a song which quotes other songs in the midst of them in a way that actually makes sense as to what you're singing about.
Yeah. If you know, you know. Go ahead, Victor.
There's a certain power of songs that talk about songs.
Yeah.
Yes. I have a similar song called Go Johnny, but yours is much better.
Well, I get that a lot. Just kidding. The problem is that some, a lot other musicians respect this song a lot, of course, but sometimes you get into it at a venue or a bar or something and nobody's listening, and you're like, man, I got to list a whole lot of words for the next 7 minutes with nobody listening. So, word to the wise, only write a song you want to sing every night.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't find out until afterwards, unfortunately.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, exactly.
So good. All right, Carl M. Banks, and once again, Barbie Banks has chimed in with lots of hearts and applause, and so good.
Thanks,
and
Barbie.
We can only agree with it.
Love you, sis.
All right, so my turn. So, I'm gonna sing a song. I have some songs I've written for myself as a solo performer. Then I have some songs I wrote for my band, the Bliss Jockeys, and occasionally I try to take a band song and do it by myself. So that's what this is. This is a song called Lay Aside Your Heroes. And it's... hey, Ricky Rich says, applause, applause. She has good taste in Carl Banks as well. This is a song called Lay Aside Your Heroes. Growing up, I was completely obsessed with Bruce Springsteen. Still pretty obsessed with Bruce Springsteen. And, so my first batch of original songs that I had written were basically all in the style of Bruce Springsteen songs. Not because I wanted to necessarily only write Bruce Springsteen songs, but because that's all I knew. So this is a song about trying to graduate from that, trying to lay aside your heroes, step out from under the shadow of your influences, and become your own voice. And so this is a song about graduating from being obsessed with Bruce Springsteen in the style of a Bruce Springsteen song. And this is also a song where I kind of figured out my main musical identity, which was to play harmonica and give myself a harmonica solo and basically treat the harmonica as if it were a guitar. So rather than have to have a band and have a guitarist taking the guitar solo, I could take the guitar solo myself on harmonica. And we're talking about like raising and lowering the keys of songs. This is one I've experimented a lot with. I've recently raised the key a half step because I think it actually made a significant change to the quality of my voice. Lay aside your heroes. I was walking through the park last night, looking at the stars, and I saw Lady Destiny strumming her guitar. She sang a song of heroes, heroes, boys and men, tale of endless cycles of beginnings and ends. She said, lay aside heroes, boy, you know all you really need to know. Whoa. Searching for the garden, now it's time to let that garden grow. Whoa. Now when I think what I want for my life, I'm far from satisfied. Want to take this cage and bust it open wide. Look to all the heroes on the posters on the wall, wondering if I'll get my chance to fly. Lay aside your heroes, boy, you know all you really need to know. Whoa, you've been searching for the garden, now it's time to let that garden grow. Whoa, when I think back to where I started from now, I can't believe my eyes. There's still so much further left to fly. Look to all the heroes on the posters on the wall, wondering if I'll ever get that high. Lay was walking through the park last night, just looking at the stars, and I saw old Lady Destiny strumming her guitar. She sang a song of heroes, heroes, boys and men, a tale of endless cycles, of beginnings and ends. And I went into my room last night, tore those posters down, picked up my guitar, and I made my own sound. All right.
I can see what you mean. The key change does, bring a different energy, or a bigger energy to it. I like that. Definitely.
Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, I think one thing I don't think I sang that particularly well that time. I notice when I sing a song, this is something I'm focusing on. When I sing a song and I'm very relaxed and I kind of sing with my voice in a more relaxed way, like if I'm singing into a microphone, it's like you have more control. The louder and more forceful I sing, the less control I have over it, right? So when I'm like not plugged in and I'm just sort of singing very loudly, the voice becomes much less agile. So I sort of went into that wanting to take it more relaxed with the voice, but failing. So not sure if the higher key worked so well, but anyway.
No, I think it did. I could tell, you were pushing a lot, but that doesn't necessarily mean it came across badly. It may have felt bad to your throat a little bit, but, it's supposed to be a brash song. It's supposed to feel, like, spirited, and supposed to, I don't know, it goes with it I don't know, and that's my opinion now. It's not supposed to sound clean and, it's supposed to be like,
I don't know if any of you have this experience, but it's very, I think a lot of times you're performing, it does not feel good to you while you're performing. You might feel like, this doesn't sound good. And then you listen or watch the playback and you're like, that was awesome. Sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes you're in the middle of your song and you're like, I'm so great, I'm killing this. And then you listen or watch the playback and it you want to tell everyone to tear their video of that song down off of social media because you're embarrassed by it. I think over the years you have enough experience with that sort of feedback loop that you maybe have a better sense of how it's coming across, but every once in a while it's you don't. I'm very curious now. The minute this stream's over, I'm going to go back and watch it and see if my perception while I was performing matches how I feel about it when I watch back.
It is an interesting exercise for sure. It's the way people feel about it versus the way you're feeling about it could be different.
Yeah, and the live stream thing is weird too because you don't have the immediate reaction of people in the room with you actually hearing what you're hearing. You're bouncing off with a little latency.
They know more about your performance than you do.
Yeah.
That's like, Bruce Springsteen had a superstition. He would not allow himself to be video recorded or filmed, nor would he watch playback of himself for a good 2 decades into his career. He was kind of very superstitious about it. He just kind of had this feeling like, well, you know, what I'm doing is working. Everyone's happy. Like, I don't want to look too closely at like what's going on when I perform. And I think then he regrets it because, you know, in his mid-50s, he regrets that he doesn't have any footage. He has like minimal footage from like the first 40 years of his performing career. But oh well. All right. Well, that was Lay Aside Your Heroes. Thank you.
I think Bruce is doing fine. Yeah.
Good song, Phil.
And we'll move on to Jason Vitelli.
All right. Well, this is one that actually I may have performed it on here before, but is related to my friendship with Phil, and it's about me coming sort of out of my shell, so to speak. I've dealt with depression. I've dealt with, you know, a lot of mental issues, and so it was hard for me. I was very shy when I was, I guess, in my early 20s, and it was you know, Phil's groups were a great way to kind of Phil, you made a difference in a lot of people's lives. I just want you to know that, and you know, you're a very special person, and
thank you,
in
Jason.
more ways than one, and so I dedicate this song to you. Endless thoughts turn so slow. I was stuck in a grind. Oh yes, I was stuck in the grind. Rhyming the same old line all the time. A circle of crime, of crime. Oh. That's a fun one. It's a fun one to play. The only problem is I did it in an altered tuning, and so if the guitar's in a standard tuning for a while, it starts going out of tune while you're playing it. So, unfortunately, that was the experience I had while performing it.
It was, I did not hear it, but also I completely understand, which is why my wall looks like that for every goddamn key change. So
Right.
I feel your pain.
Fantastic. Jason, every time I hear that song, it transports me to when we had the culture circle at the beach at night on Long Beach Island with that whole crew. So for people at home, when Jason and I first met years ago, and we would do these events that were basically like salons or culture circles where creative people came and sang songs or showed artwork or read poems or whatnot, and we used to meet, and out of the groups, like this very tight group of close friends formed, of which Jason and I were two members of the group, and we started referring to ourselves as the tribe. We were like, oh, let's have a tribe party at Jason's house on Friday. And that song, the tribe song, was our official theme song of like that group of friends at that moment in time. And I don't know what came first. Did you call your song the tribe song based on the tribe, or did the tribe name itself after your song?
Geez, I don't even know what came first. But I know it was inspired by the tribe. So it almost doesn't matter. But I think it probably came from me. I don't know. Did it? What do you think?
I think the song came from you were inspired by the group of people, but you came up with the name Tribe Song, and then the group embraced the name from your song. I think that's how it worked.
Yeah. Oh, because I also have the hobo song. So I was naming a lot of songs with song at the end. Being very literal.
And remember what we all said? This was like a very group of creative, new agey people. But what they said on the beach when Jason would perform this, say that we were a collective group of souls, that were all collective soulmates, that through the human lifetimes, on each successive lifetime, found their way to each other again. And how would the next incarnation of each of us find our way to each other? We would find our way to each other by that song. That would become the signal for the future lives of the incarnating souls of the members of the tribe.
Wow. I forgot about that. That's great. Well, good memories.
Yeah. Including tonight. Tonight is a new good memory for years to come.
Yep.
All right, Victor.
I don't know how I'm supposed to follow that.
Come on. You're great.
On a number of levels. Not communing with anybody. I can dedicate this one to Phil too. I don't know. That'll just
do it.
The continuity element.
Mother Superior jumped the gun, but all in all it was a little fun to rip the buttons clean off of your coat. She warned you not to let me in, but do so was embodied sin. Did I tell you, honey? She warned you not to gloat. Cause when I come, there's gonna be no water. You should've locked the doors, you should've told your daughters, but well, they all know by now. The good book told them I company should hit the ground and start running before I face the curtain with a bow. Baby, light the hen house, we're gonna burn the bastard down. Sit and wait and watch till the ashes hit the ground. Well, how long I call you, for there will be no words. The sound of the burning mansions will form a waltz and dirge. Whoa, 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 whoa. We sing whoa, 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 whoa. ground, and your mama thinks you're Dixie bound, and I got a room here, can you imagine that? Oh, listen, heavenly value, you know I've got something for you. I'd hand it over, but you gotta close your eyes. The record's in the jukebox, turning the pretty little lines, they burn long after the melody is gone. Baby, light the hen house, we're gonna burn the bastard down. Sit and wait and watch till the ashes hit the ground. We'll howl like a fire, for there will be no words. The sound of the burning mansion, the formal waltz and dirge. Whoa, 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 whoa. We sing whoa. Not to meddle. Won't you please light up a kettle? And I'll have a cup before I leave this place. Insanity is never learning, and I guess you're gonna run out burning while tongues hang out and they drag across your face. If there's anything you love, it'll be the first thing I shove deep into the flames and rise in ash. It's not my fault you don't belong, and it's not my fault. Something burning, baby, don't you be rash. Baby, light the hen house, we're gonna burn the bastard down. The melody will rise and fall, but never make a sound. Rebuild, trouble, toil, you'll never find an end. As soon as you rise on up, you know, I'll come right back again and sing, whoa, 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 whoa. We sing whoa, whoa,
Yeah. Woo. I like that both as a full band version and a
I
solo
do it
version.
so much as a full band. I don't usually do it by myself, but I sometimes like to remind myself that it can exist on its own.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard you do it by yourself before.
I really? Huh.
Hey, I just got that. Do you make a lot of song allusions in that song?
Yes.
I heard the happiness is a warm gun.
Yes,
allusion.
yes. It's supposed to kind of be how songs are usually accepted as, you know, evil things by the culture before, and then it just keeps going and going and going and going. And my dad has a story that when he was in school, he was in a choir group. That was one of the assigned classes, and he suggested performing the Beatles. And the teacher said, "There's no way that Devil's music is ever gonna be anything. That's never gonna survive. That's never gonna remain topical. It's never gonna keep on."
Wow.
And I mean, to us, it's so canon, and it makes you realize that everything that was popular was hated by the generation before, for the most part. So, I don't know. Anywho, thank you.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic. Wow. I'm so inspired by everyone tonight. Nice job, Victor.
Thank you so much.
All right. So, we have each of us performed 3 songs. We are going to give our 2 special guests, Dan and Carl, a chance to sing one more song each before we wrap up. But before we do that, we're going to do a couple of our usual routines, which is we'll take our group photo, or our group screen capture. So Jason, please arrange us in a way where we... Okay, very good. All right, I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, let me get one more, just as a safety. File, new, what to do? I'm going to... Wait, give me a second to save this. Okay. And then get ready for take 2. Very good. All right, so tonight has been a production of Roomful of Sky Music, as well as Music for Multimedia, which is Jason. I do Roomful of Sky. Jason does Music for Multimedia. Victor does Victor v. Gurbo stuff. When there's not a pandemic going on, Roomful of Sky
I'm going to
Music usually
officially
produces
change the title of everything I do to Victor v. Gurbo stuff.
Victor v. Gurbo stuff. When there's not, well, I guess, I don't know, it's arguable. Biden, Joe, our president, he a couple days ago in an interview referred to the pandemic as being over. But I was going to say, when there's not a pandemic going on-ish, we usually produce 6 to 7 live music events around New York and New Jersey. And this stream is a holdover from the early days of the pandemic, but we have such a good time doing it that we've decided to continue because it's a good way to connect to songwriters who are dispersed geographically and have a little record of our performances. You've been watching this on either YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook on one of the Roomful of Sky channels. So while you're here, please like, subscribe, do all those things. This video is going to live forever on the Roomful of Sky YouTube channel as well as the Roomful of Sky Facebook page. So you could refer back to it, send links to friends. Victor and Jason and I, in addition to doing this the third Tuesday of every month, on the first Tuesday of every month, we have an in-person live residency at Mary O's, an Irish pub in Manhattan. That's coming up. Our next one is on October 4th, and we have Carl Banks is our featured performer that night, as well as Anastasia, a young female singer-songwriter, as well as myself, Jason, and Victor. So if you're in the New York area, come by Mary O's on October 4th, and then 1 month here on the stream, October 18th, we have Andrew Fair and Josh Karpels. That's all the bookkeeping. We're going to let Dan do one last song, and then Carl will do one last song, and then we'll call it a live stream.
And there's the ticker.
Oh,
saying,
it's our old friend Jeff Steinberg saying hi from South Carolina. Ooh. Hey, Jeff. Jeff, let us know if you want to be part of this live stream one night. I'd love to feature you.
It.
And if you ever come through New York, I have very fond memories of Jeff singing his songs at our culture circles. Hope life is treating you well in South Carolina.
Cool.
All right, Dan, over to you.
Well, here's a song that I finished around 6 years ago or so, based loosely on a lake in the middle of the woods in Connecticut that my family used to frequent. So it's sort of a little nostalgic love letter to that. But to follow the way of the tribe, I'll dedicate this to Phil as well. And, thank you for putting this together and, pushing me to perform again. It's a bit out of my comfort zone, so, I always need a little bit of a push.
I'll be in touch in 2028 for your next.
I'll be ready then.
Next turn.
All right, so this song, it's called Coming My Way.
Creeks without shoes. We swam through haze to a raft in the lake just to gaze at the shore for a few. We climbed in playgrounds made of tires, lost and forgotten with no use. The lofty grass marked our tracks in the path in the woods that we went running through. If you're coming my way, could you bring me back to those days? Could you let me feel the clean, crisp air just one more time? 'Cause I remember how colorful the trees were as we pulled ourselves from branch to branch for a better view. couldn't catch them hard, we tried. Taking strolls by the water in the grove, skipping stones to see how far they'd go. So if you're coming my way, could you bring me back to those days? Could you let me feel the clean, crisp air just one more time? 'Cause you know I remember the snowfall from the winters and the wild calls of spring that we heard as our feet touched the dirt once again. And who will climb over the fence to those fields today? What would they find when they look past all the trees in their way? Just empty space in a long lost place where overgrown weeds took their toll. Well, in our heads we won't ever forget the times when we called that place home. The times when we called that place home.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dan.
Thanks.
So follow Dan. Dan, are you D Flow Sounds on all the platforms?
I think that's Instagram.
Yeah.
Facebook, I have Dan Florio Music. And I'm really not great with social media, as you could tell. So,
and on Spotify, people could find you under your name, Dan Florio.
Just Dan Florio. I was also the snagdanflorio.com. Plan on keeping that until the day I die, so you could check that out too.
Unlike Carl Banks, you do not have a very common name, so you didn't have to resort to some bullshit middle initial. Keep things straight.
All right. My audio went out. All right, there we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Mine went out for a second. All right. I'm going to do this song. We've been watching over here in my place, we've been watching the Ken Burns Civil War documentary the past couple nights. And this is a song about John Brown, who was a harbinger for the Civil War. This John Brown is a folk hero, like a lot of folk heroes, became more popular after his death. And the actual Battle Hymn of the Republic, before it was the Battle Hymn of the Republic, before there was a republic, it needed to have that. It was John Brown's body. And so it's like an old folk song of tale and motif for a song. So I wanted to take that and try to write my own. And when I was doing some research for this song years ago, I found out everybody was saying that John Brown was crazy. John Brown was crazy. And it doesn't take much of looking into it to see that he was fighting against slavery, and the brutality of slavery was so much more crazy than anything that he did. So this is my song called John Brown's Raid. John Brown wasn't crazy, John Brown wasn't insane. John Brown was making sure everybody had to learn his name. If something is worth dying for and you know who's to blame, ain't no justifying why people don't enslave. So grab your gun, brother, grab your blade. We're all going down to John Brown's raid. Going down, John. Well, he went west to Kansas and that new territory. Said I'll trade you 5 dead bodies for millions to be free. Wait and see out at Potawatomi.
come with me, we're gonna take out Armory. John Brown's going down to Harper's Ferry. Now we're snuffing out our torches as we're running through the brush. We're praying to our Father, 25 people is enough. Cause if things get rough and come to fisticuff, we're gonna see who's the toughest man. We're slitting people's throats with beecher Bibles in our hands. Murphy's Law said revolution never goes as planned. John Brown's trying to make y'all understand. And it's time we took a stand for what is right. If it's what they want, we'll give them a fight. We're loading up on pistols and pikes. John Brown's laying behind bars tonight. Now we're tattered, our hopes are shattered, men. They dispatched the Marines, calling in that cavalry led by Robert E. Lee. I guess fighting for freedom is just fighting for fantasy. Oh, could it be? There's blood on his hand, but the blood on the hands of you and me. John Brown's trying to end that slavery. Well, people were sneaking in just to watch old John Brown die. Walking to the gallows, he's kissing babies of his admirers. A noose around his neck, his body did expire, but his soul goes marching higher and higher. A noose around his neck, his body did expire, but John Brown's soul's marching higher and higher. March on, John. And it's time we took a stand for what is right. If it's what they want, we'll give them a fight. We're loading up on pistols and pikes. John Brown's raid is going down tonight.
Great protest song. Really great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Carl, how are you so awesome?
Practice, I guess. I don't know. That one just
20
you were talking about list
20
songs
minutes?
earlier.
Just got to do it every day?
Yeah, exactly. No, that was an exercise in not writing a list song, because I have like so many songs where I'm just writing all these lists. So that one I'm trying to tell a story, and then I realized a story is just kind of listing off what happens. So
Hey, a list goes from beginning to an end, so there's a story.
Right. It gives you form.
Every
Yeah.
list.
I'm glad I didn't do my finger picking song after that one. That's great.
I'm like this acoustic. I want more. I want it to be plugged in. I want some more beef on it because.
You get a lot through the mic, though. It sounds nice.
Good.
All right, so anyone have any final parting words before we log off?
This was fun, and I'm sorry, Phil, I didn't dedicate a song to you. I forgot to on that last one.
Man.
I'll send it to
See
you.
if you ever get invited back to one of
He
our
also
events.
accepts payments in firstborn children and kind of like Rumpelstiltskin. So just keep that in mind for.
All right. Well, I'll DM you about that. Okay.
Well, you have a second chance because you're playing Mario's in a couple weeks on October 4th. So
I'll grovel at your feet, Phil.
yeah, that's the game. All right. Well, for those of you watching along at home, thank you so much for spending your Tuesday evening time on the toilet or living room couch, whichever, with us. We appreciate it. Thank you, Jason and Victor and Dan and Carl. That's all. We will see you if you're in the New York area. Come by Mario's 2 weeks on October 4th, and otherwise we'll see you back here on the internets on Tuesday, October 18th. All right. Be safe, everyone. Till next time.
Peace and love.